Hello, my name is Lisa. It's a shortened form of the name Larissa, and this is my culinary blog. I know that there are already a lot of cooking channels on YouTube. Some of them have existed for years, some appeared more recently, and many of them have hundreds of thousands or even millions of subscribers. There are channels where people make perfect cakes. There are channels where people sell their courses. There are channels where everything looks easy, beautiful, fast, and as if you could do the same if you just repeat the steps. So the logical question is, why another cooking blog? Why did I come here with my story when it feels like everything has already been said and shown? The answer to this question was not obvious to me at first. It was not a strategic decision. It was not a plan like, I will start a channel. It was more a point where several things came together. Curiosity, fear, tiredness, the need to switch focus, and the need to organize the chaos in my own head. A little more than a month ago, I accidentally saw a Facebook ad for a course called Marshmallow Flowers. It cost about the same as a cup of coffee. I wasn't looking for this course. I wasn't planning to learn how to make marshmallow flowers. But I was very intrigued by the idea itself, that you can create something so fragile, light, and at the same time structured with your own hands. I really love marshmallows. Even the simplest ones. I love their texture. I love that they are not as heavy as cakes. I love that they look simple, but actually rely on a very precise balance. And when I saw those marshmallow flowers, I became genuinely curious. How does this even work? How is it possible to make something like this by hand? Everything looked so simple that I really wanted to try it myself. That simplicity was the most misleading part, because from the outside, things always look easy. But that feeling, I could do this too, became the starting point. That's how I ended up in a culinary academy, a school with very talented instructors and no less talented students. And almost immediately, I felt a strange mix of fascination and inattention. On the one hand, it was a world I wanted to dive into. On the other hand, it was a world where I felt very unsure of myself. It felt like everyone there was a real professional. Even those who had recently started learning, even beginners. Of course, they don't describe themselves that way, but I saw the photos they shared in our group. I saw smooth surfaces, clean shapes, confident results, and I saw my own creations on my kitchen counter, with small imperfections, with almost, with not quite. Most of the women there have been working with orders for a long time. They sell their products to cafes. They have clients. They know what they're doing. Their entry point into this world is different. They already have practice, feedback, and a market. My relationship with sweets has always been different. I love eating them, honestly. That's my main motivation. I love sweetness. I love flavor. I love texture. I love the feeling when something well-made reveals itself gradually. But at the same time, I want it to be not too sweet. I want it to feel lighter. I want it to be as natural as possible. And I want to eat sweets without gaining weight. That might be the most unrealistic wish in this whole story, but it's still part of the truth. I want to enjoy not only eating sweets, but also making them. Different kinds, not necessarily perfect, but tasty. I want this to become my hobby, not a business, not an obligation, not another source of stress, a hobby. And this is my sweet rebellion. It's not a rebellion against someone, not against rules, not against tradition. It's a rebellion against my own lifestyle, one that involves too much computer time, too much sitting, too much mental focus, and too little physical process. By profession, I am an accountant, a financial specialist, and a business consultant. My work is numbers, systems, logic, responsibility, and attention to detail. It means long hours at a desk, constant concentration, and mental tension. I don't hate my profession. On the contrary, it shaped me and gave me many tools. But at some point, I realized that I needed something else, something tactile, something physical, something that allows mistakes without disaster, mistakes that teach rather than punish. I even created a new creative name for myself, something that could represent this new authorship, Lisa and her sweet rebellion. It was a way to separate one part of myself from another, not to escape, but to let them coexist. So why YouTube? The answer is both simple and complex. I am used to working with information. I am used to structuring things. I am used to breaking chaos into understandable elements. My new hobby quickly created chaos in my head. Recipes, videos, advice, courses, conflicting recommendations, different approaches. All of this required structure. In 1 month, I watched an incredible number of videos. I read comments. I asked questions. I searched for answers. I tried things. I failed. And I noticed that I constantly wanted to write things down, to record them, to understand why something didn't work this time, or why it suddenly did. At some point, I realized that the world of sweets is not about add a little more, or just eyeball it. It has its own laws, its own technologies, its own chemistry and physics, its own balance, temperature and timing, its own gravity and spatial design, and countless small details that matter more than inspiration. This world is too interesting to ignore, and too demanding to treat lightly. It's not about pure intuition, it's about precision that enables creativity. For the first few weeks, I only observed, I read, I watched videos. I was afraid to start, and that's despite the fact that I'm no longer 17, not even 27. I have baked cakes and cookies, sponge cakes and muffins. I've even baked bread, even if it was with a bread maker. I had a basic understanding of dry and wet ratios, but this was a different level, a different kind of precision, a different responsibility for each step. And I felt fear of doing something wrong, fear of wasting ingredients, fear of looking foolish, fear of not matching the level I saw around me. At the same time, I feel that this story is only beginning, and that it's pulling me deeper and deeper into the world of sweets. I don't want to give up this new hobby. I want to understand the details, the technologies, the patterns. I want to learn how to relax and enjoy the entire process, from idea to tasting, without rushing, without idealizing, without expecting instant results. For me, making sweets is a deeply creative process, but at the same time, it is extremely technical and precise. And that combination fascinates me. I'm not interested in simply repeating steps. I want to understand why something works and why something fails. That's why I chose YouTube, not as a stage, but as a space for notes, for reflection, for preserving what I don't want to forget. That's why I created the channel Sweet Rebellion, Why Baking Fails. Here I keep my notes. I share my failures, my discoveries, my small victories. I talk about my learning process, and yes, I bought another course for the price of a cup of coffee. And now I have to complete it. I don't know where this journey will lead, but I know that I don't want to go through it in silence. I want this space to be alive, a place where it's okay to make mistakes, to ask questions, to explain, to share. I invite you to join me as viewers, as mentors, as constructive critics, or simply as people who are curious about understanding, not just watching perfect results. And if you're a little like me and just starting your own path, I'd be happy to walk it together.